Today, I'm going to analyze an ethic leadership dilemma using concepts from chapter 6 and 7 of The Art of Leadership by George Manning. This case focused on a workplace situation where a leader must decide whether to remain silent about an executive misconduct or speak up and risk serious consequences. This dilemma highlights how leadership is not just about authority or results. It is about value, characters, and moral courage. In this case, a senior executive was using company funds for personal expenses. Several members of leadership were aware of it, but chose to minimize the issue because exposing it could harm the company reputation. A HR manager later discovered documentation proving the misuse of funds. When this was brought forward, the HR manager was told to not escalate the issue and to let it go for the good of the organization. This decision point is clear. Stay silent to protect leadership in the company image, or report the misconduct and risk retaliation, conflict, or even job loss. This situation is a true moral dilemma because competing values are in conflict. On one side, there is loyalty, such as leadership's and concern for protecting the organization reputation. On the other side, there is honesty, integrity, accountability, and responsibility to employees and stakeholders. It is not simply right versus wrong. It is loyalty versus ethical responsibility. Staying silent protect leaderships in the short term. Speaking up protect ethical standards in the long term. Using Kohlberg theory of moral development, we can examine how the key factors are reasonings. Leadership choosing silence may be operating at level one, which focus on avoiding punishment or personal consequences. Others may be functioning at level two, prioritizing obedience to authority and maintaining order within the organization. However, reporting the misconduct reflects level three, reasoning. Principle moral thinking. This level is guided by internal ethical standards rather than fear or approval. Ethical leaderships require movement towards level three, where decisions are based on integrity and justice, not inconvenience. This case also demonstrates obedience and conformity pressure. The executive hold authority, which naturally influence others to comply. Employees may fear retaliation, loss of promotion opportunities, or social. When multiple leaders stay silent, does that silence become normalized? This reflects principles smaller to milligram research on obedience to authority, and people often conform not because they believe something is right, but because they don't want to stand alone. Organizational culture can quietly pressure individuals to accept unethical behavior. This situation requires strong virtues, especially integrity and courage. Integrity means aligning action with moral principle even when it is uncomfortable. Courage means acting despite fear of consequences. Moral courage here would involve documenting the evidence, reporting through appropriate channels, and accepting personal risk for the sake of ethical responsibility. Leadership is not tested when things are easy. It is tested when doing the right thing is costly. Another important thing in the case is ethic versus law. Misusing company funds may violate legal standards. However, if loopholes exist or the behavior technically fall within policy gray areas, it will still be unethical. Laws set the minimum standard of behavior. Ethics demand a higher standard. An ethic leader does not hide behind legal law. They aim for moral responsibility and beyond compliance. This case also reflects the organization ethic climate. The company may publicly claim values such as integrity and transparency. However, the behaviors show image protection over accountability. This suggests a profit maximize or self-protection climate rather than a trusteeship or quality life management approach. In the immediate 24 to 48 hours, the HR should have documented all findings carefully and reported the issue through formal channels, potentially escalating to the board or an independent oversight body if necessary. Long term, the organization should be strengthened whistleblowers protection, improve transparency policies, and implement executive level ethic training. Incentives should align with integrity, not just perform outcomes. There are trade-offs that may be short-term reputational harm or leadership changes. However, in the long term, accountability builds trust, credibility, and sustainability. In conclusion, this dilemma shows that leadership is fundamental, a moral responsibility. Ethic climate start at the top. Silence enable misconduct, while reinforces integrity. True leadership is not about protecting power, it is about protecting values. When leader chooses integrity over convenience, they build organizations that people can trust.